results, which came out yesterday, because this is the iMore show. Joining me as always is iMore contributor Karen Freeman. Hey, Karen.
Hello.
And today is our special guest. We've got iMore writer Luke Filipovich. Hey, Luke.
Thank you. Although today I feel more like an AirPods 3 show-off person, like a model.
Pods 3 model, got the slick hair.
Yeah.
Cool shirt. Yeah, we've got a genuine ear model in the house, ladies and gents. All right, so let's start with the latest news first, out because there's never a lot to say about it, but it's still big news. Apple made all the money in the last 3 months. They made every single dollar that there is in the world, as it turns out.
$1 billion a day.
$1 billion a day this financial year. $366 billion in revenue.
I can't even get my mind around that.
That is a barely real number, I think. That's, it's truly too much money. But yeah, $1 billion a day for the financial year. Good job, I guess. But yeah, that's wild. So it came out, I think it was it 83? Yeah, 83.4 billion in revenue for the last quarter. Record revenues, at least record revenues for the quarter for, I think, Mac and services, especially. Yeah, it was just great for them. Just an absolute monster of a quarter. Again, still in a pandemic. I mean, what else is there to say? Just so much money.
I think Apple TV has some really stellar content that I think has something to do with it.
Yeah, you think so? You think Apple TV helps with the services stuff?
I do. I mean, Apple Music and Fitness Plus, all that is great as well. Obviously, people need iCloud storage, but I think Apple TV's really stepped up this year.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying it. What can I say?
Yeah, and I think, I definitely think that they've had I think the content pool for Apple TV Plus is definitely solidified since its launch. I mean, obviously now 2 years ago, I think it's 2 years ago on Monday. It'll be since Apple TV Plus launched. We've actually got some content around that coming next week. Keep an eye out. But yeah, and to think 2 years ago, we're just now this year getting the second seasons of a lot of those shows. We didn't even have Ted Lasso when the service launched in November of 2019, and now we've got Ted Lasso, we've got Mythic Quest, these two comedies that I think have really earned some decent praise for the service. We've got things like For All Mankind,
which I love.
I love For All Mankind. It's so good.
And I can't get anyone to watch it, but it is so good.
And I think it's a little more divisive, but Foundation seems like it's been a hit for them. They I don't know if it was last week or the week before that, but they renewed it for a second season already, and we're not even through the first.
Yeah, I've been enjoying that too. I don't think it's on the same level as For All Mankind, but no. It's definitely an enjoyable watch, and it's neat to see because it is based on books that are so old that sort of as you said in a previous show, the foundation of modern science fiction. And it's just neat to see. I like it.
Yeah. Karen, I think, you know what? Really thinking about it, I think there's something to that. I think, especially since, we are still in a pandemic. It's not, a lot of people are still staying mostly home. And, you've got a lot of people jumping on the Ted Lasso bandwagon or discovering shows like For All Mankind. I think, a streaming service that is $5 a month, or people who are jumping on the Apple One bundle. I think those sorts of things are appealing. But I think you got something there.
And I think when I was a kid and VHS came out, dating myself here, people were saying, well, this is going to be the end of movie theaters. Like, why would somebody go to a movie when they can just rent a movie in the comfort of their own home? And it didn't kill the movie experience at all. Going to movies was still like a big part of my childhood and young adulthood. But I think that this pandemic and the rise in quality and streaming services is starting to kill the movie theater experience. Maybe it'll come back,
and home sound systems, right? Like that's still kind of the biggest thing that movies have over just your house is like their sound systems are so great, but we keep getting better and better sound systems you can get for your home. Don't get me wrong, they're not necessarily affordable, all of them, but there's some good affordable options if you want like a decent surround sound now, right? So yeah, I agree.
I mean, there's a whole range. I mean, you can buy $100 TV set with no special sound system, and for $5 a month, you can stream all this cool content. Or you can get a big fancy screen TV that, you know, all the latest technology and the surround sound, and, you know, you can really make a home theater. Yeah. So there's a whole range for people to enjoy their home entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, I have not been to a movie in like 2 years. I literally have not, and I haven't. I don't know if that is going to change anytime soon. Like, and now it's not really because of the pandemic for me. It's just like when I think about going to a movie prices are so expensive. I don't know how it is. I don't know how it is in the States, but here in Canada, like if me and my partner want to go to a movie, maybe grab share a thing of popcorn and each have a drink. Like we're spending like $40-$50. Like no lie.
I know. That's like ridiculous. Half a year of your average streaming service. So
yeah. So it's
for one night in the theater.
Yeah. It's a lot of money, and it's not that I don't, and I really enjoy movies. It's not that I don't enjoy the theater experience anymore. It's just like the cost for me has become so high that I have to really, really want to see a movie, like really want to see it. And when it comes out, like Dune right now is the one that's like maybe pushing me to maybe get to the theater. But like even so, I'm kind of like I probably could wait.
But you know what? My daughter and son-in-law were visiting 2 weekends ago, and Dune was out, and we were like, "Hey, do you want to see Dune?" And we're like, "Yeah, let's fire it up." You know, it's already available on HBO Max, so why go to the theater? For the four of us to go would be $60 just to walk in the door. That's if you don't get any snacks or anything. But since we're already paying for the streaming service, we just sat on the couch and watched it for free.
Totally.
And I know you're supposed to see it in the theater because it's so beautiful, but it was still great on my TV.
So I will say, having seen it last weekend in IMAX, Dune is great on IMAX. It's also great on HBO Max.
Yeah, I know.
It's not quite as impressive, but if you have a television that's like 4K and has decent HDR range, you've got a good experience. You know, especially if it's a screen on the larger size. Karen, like you said, you can for whatever you're paying for HBO Max, and if you're like me and actually have still have a cable subscription that has HBO in it, you get HBO Max for no extra cost. That when you have that, I mean, you can save that $60, or you can spend it on a bunch of food ordering from like a DoorDash or Grubhub or something like that.
Right. Well, we did order dinner, so but that was a full meal. So
yeah, it's a full meal, and you don't have theater staff like walking in front of you like during the movie delivering people their various food stuffs.
Yeah. I'm even considering like this Boxing Day, like when in Canada we have big sales and stuff. It's kind of like our mini Black Friday a little bit. I am considering about maybe upgrading my TV set because I just like have been using it so much and been enjoying. And I have like an okay TV right now, like an okay 4K HDR, but it's a bit on the budget side. It's not quite as nice. So I'm considering upgrading my screen, and then I feel like I'll really have like a nice experience viewing movies for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's the big thing now is upgrading your home theater experience.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, so Apple made all the money, but how did they make all that money? Let's talk about some of the products that they'll be making money on this quarter, because Luke and I at least have Apple's most recent announcements in our possession. Luke, you recently just wrapped your review, which will be out Monday, of the AirPods 3. So
yes.
Tell us about AirPods 3.
In short, they're awesome. I think they're actually a pretty great update and upgrade over like the Gen 2/Gen 1 era of regular AirPods. They have like here, I'll actually take one out for a quick second so you guys can sort of. So they do have a more kind of AirPod Pro design, obviously without the silicone ear tips. But they do fit in your ear. And like, once again, they have to fit in your ear. Some people can't fit stuff like this in their ears as easily, but to me, they're like way more comfortable than AirPods Pro or anything with silicone ear tips that kind of puts pressure on your ear canal. I've been wearing these literally almost nonstop since I got them on Tuesday. They've literally been in my ears except for when I'm charging. And they charge up pretty damn fast. Since you know, for 5 minutes gives you 1 hour. If you're doing the quick charge, you can just pop it in the case for 5 minutes and you're good to go for an hour again. The case has MagSafe charging, which is fantastic if you have a MagSafe charger, but you can also just wirelessly charge it with whatever wireless charger you have. It just might be a bit slower. Comes with a USB-C cable, USB-C to lightning cable. So you can use that. If you use that with your like 20-watt charger, if you have one from, you know, either a third party or your recent iPhone purchase or something like that, they'll charge up super quick. They sound awesome. They sound better than the Gen 2s for sure. I would even say they sound similar to the AirPods Pro, but the AirPods Pro have the benefit of sound isolation from being able to actually like get into your ears with silicone ear tips. So the AirPods Pro, I think I said iPods, whoops, AirPods Pro, definitely still sound better overall just because of the design of them. But I think if you put like, because there'll be ones that come out for this. You can like make foam tips, or there'll be, you know, third parties that come out for tips for these, for people who want that sort of thing. And I guarantee if you could get some seal in your ear on these, I don't know if you'd be able to tell the difference between the AirPods Pro and the AirPods 3 that much. And that brings me to maybe the most interesting negative point about the AirPods 3 is their price point's a little odd. So in some ways it's cool because Apple sort of lowered the price since it does have a wireless charging case, and it's Apple selling it for $179, and the AirPods 2 Gen 2 that had the wireless case was sold for $199 when it first came out. So in some ways it is like a bit down. But what's weird about that is that the AirPods Pro, you can, although they technically sell for $259 is like the sort of Apple's price for them, you can find them on Amazon for like under $200 typically. In fact, yesterday when I looked quickly, they were under $200. They were like $197 on Amazon.com right now. And you can get them with Prime shipping and all that good Amazon stuff. So then if you look at the difference there, it's really like, what do you want? Do you value ANC? Do you value active noise cancellation? Do you really want that really good sound isolation? Is that something that you want in a pair of earbuds, or is that something that you don't? Because I think if you don't, then the AirPods 3 are like a perfect answer. And that's kind of like why I like them so much, because I've never been a huge fan of silicone ear tips. I find they hurt my ears after a couple hours. And ultimately, if I'm going to go with an ANC like headset, it's not usually earbuds for me. I'd rather have an over-ear experience, because that's usually when I like really want to hunker down and listen to something, or really want to, you know, enjoy kind of what I'm doing. Whereas earpods for me, or earbuds for me, are the things you slip in when you're going for a walk, when you're heading to the store, when you're going to the gym and you need something in your ears to keep you running. It's not necessarily always about, it's not always about like the most absolute sound fidelity I can get when I throw in a pair of earbuds, right? So it kind of really comes down to like what you want, because since you can get the Pros for literally about $20 more, if you really want that ANC experience and the better sound isolation, then definitely go with the AirPods Pro, because essentially what these are all the features of the AirPods Pro without that stuff, without the active noise cancellation and without the silicone ear tips. But if you have like a pair of Gen 1 and you've been thinking of upgrading, or you don't care about active noise cancellation, a pair of earbuds, because maybe you have a pair of active noise cancellation like over the ears, maybe you have a pair of AirPods Max, maybe something like that, and you're just looking for like a pair of Apple specific earbuds, then like the 3s are amazing. So they're a really interesting product. It's like their price point's a little weird, but it's mainly not necessarily Apple's fault. It's kind of like the third-party retailers that have the ability to discount the AirPods Pro kind of so heavily. So it'll be interesting to see if there were people kind of waiting to see what these were going to be before they were deciding whether to to jump on the Pros or jump on the next AirPods. I'm curious what people will come out to. And I think honestly, it comes down to personal preference. I think either one you get, you're getting like a great headset or a great pair of earbuds for Apple users specifically, obviously, since that is the AirPods' big draw.
Yeah. I gotta say, look, I'm really curious to see how this pricing stuff's going to shake out. Next month during all the Black Friday bonanza.
Yeah, and that's the thing to think too. Like, for example, Amazon is selling the brand new AirPods 3 for like a $5 or like $4 discount right now. So you can already tell like they're sort of, I mean, Amazon always does this, right? They're kind of sort of trying to, undercut Apple at least a little bit so that they can get more traffic. But I'm curious, with Black Friday and the holidays, like what's going to be discounted more? These are newer, but the AirPods Pro are kind of better. So it's interesting to see what'll shake out with that. Maybe we'll see really heavy, deep discounts on these. I don't know.
I'm curious to see what the education discount's going to be next summer.
Yeah.
This past summer, they gave away the second generation AirPods with purchase of a computer or iPad Pro or iPad Air. So next summer, I may be convinced to buy a new MacBook if it comes with a free AirPods 3. I don't know. We'll see.
Fair.
Yeah, that rumored MacBook Air maybe.
Yeah, because I'm a teacher also, so I can get the educator in case people are wondering. I'm kind of long in the tooth to be a college student, but
hey, education is worth it at any age.
Yeah, this is true.
Well, look, you really answered any question I might have about them. But you do like them. You seem pretty happy with them. I do remember you came on, I think our team call earlier this week, and you were just over the moon about them just in general.
Yeah, they really are great. And I mean, they give you everything that AirPods is kind of, all the Apple specific stuff, the simple pairing, the spatial audio even is included in these, which I think is awesome. I mean, your mileage may vary on that. Some people really don't like the way it sounds in certain music. And I've seen that. I tried a bunch of different genres of music with spatial audio on Apple Music, and I do feel like some songs felt weirder with it, and some songs sounded like really, really good. But it's really great for TV and movies. It's cool to have a pair of earbuds that like sort of takes advantage of this like surround sound effect that actually sounds like really authentic and cool. And if you're on a FaceTime call with like multiple people, the voices will actually sort of come from the way that they're oriented on the screen. And it's like
cool.
It's noticeable too. Like I thought it wouldn't be that noticeable because like the screen's not that big, right? Especially if you're doing it on an iPhone or an iPad or whatever, but it's noticeable. You can tell like if the person on like the very right of your screen or the person like kind of one in from the screen, you can tell that they're sort of coming from two different places. And it's a little weird to get used to at first, but it actually does sound like more natural conversation like you would have in just a room. And yeah.
So Luke, does that only work for FaceTime or does it work for like Google and Zoom and other video?
As of right now, I believe it's only FaceTime. I only experienced it in FaceTime. I could be wrong about that. You could fact check me, but I'm pretty sure it's only FaceTime at the moment. Yeah, but it's really interesting. Some people might hate spatial audio, and I can understand that. They might think it sounds weird, and it can be a little disorienting, especially with the head tracking. So you can have like the head tracking on your iPhone where like your iPhone is sort of like the source of the music. So it's kind of like your iPhone is more of like a Bluetooth speaker. And so like if you turn your head and your iPhone's over here, you're going to hear the music like pan left and right based on like your head's position to where your iPhone's playing. And I actually think that's really cool. I think it's actually pretty neat, and it's kind of like an interesting way. Like I put my iPhone down when I'm cleaning the house and I have my earbuds in, and it kind of moves around with me, which is kind of interesting. Some people really hate it though. Some people find it disorienting, which I can understand. It takes a little while to get used to, but I kind of like it.
All right. Thanks, Luke. There is another product that started going out to people this week that I have in my possession.
Just a little one. Actually, it's a big one. It's bigger, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's it is the MacBook Pro 2021. It is First of all, this is a beautiful machine. This is is a great piece of aluminum. Something I guess they didn't. Maybe I missed it when they were talking about when they announced it last week, but it's etched. I don't know if you can see it. For those who are just listening, I'm holding up the bottom of my MacBook Pro to the camera. It has MacBook Pro etched on the bottom, which is cool. I love this thing. I've been using it since Tuesday. I absolutely love it. It's amazing. It's great.
So is this going to become your primary computer, or are you sticking with desktop?
So I think for things like the podcast and meetings and just sort of like the sort of stationary command center, I'm still sticking with my desktop. But for a lot of the stuff I've been doing this week, including quite a few of my meetings, MacBook Pro has been great. Here, this should tell you everything. In Safari of all browsers, on multiple Google Meets. I guess they're called Meets now, not Hangouts. Hangouts has gone by the wayside or something. But multiple Google Meet calls, some that have lasted, half an hour to 40 minutes. The thing barely gets warm. The fans don't spin up. And the battery hit is, I'm not going to say negligible because it's still Google Meet, but it's well within what I would consider acceptable range. Wow. I'm favorably impressed.
Very cool.
It is very cool, and it's great to have the SD card slot back in there. It really is, because I do use that stuff. Photo editing is even in an older app like Lightroom Classic, lightning fast. And for optimized apps like Pixelmator Pro, Pixelmator Pro has this feature that I've used for a long time called ML Super Resolution, where it basically ups the resolution using machine learning. And on my Mac Mini here, I've got a whole external eGPU. I have a whole eGPU dedicated to graphics operations for this computer. I don't need anything like that for the the MacBook Pro. And of course it wouldn't work even if I had one, but I feel no need for it. It's lightning fast.
Wow.
Yeah. And the display's great. I don't mind the notch so much.
So it doesn't block any of the menu across the top of the screen for you?
So it can. It depends on how much you have in the menu bar to begin with. But I use a tool called Bartender, which hides a bunch of that stuff and shrinks the menu bar down to begin with. So I'm good there generally. It does kind of force you to think about, okay, so just what do I need on my menu bar? Like, just what does need to be there? But yeah, and I haven't really run into anything with menus for apps. Excuse me. Yeah, because most of my apps don't have extremely long sets of menus. So yeah, overall really happy. The screen's great. The camera is really good. They have the same image processing, the same. I don't know if it's the exact same image signal processor, but that same prowess that they had in the still potatoey camera from last year's M1 Max, but now they have a much better camera. And I think, honestly, the camera that they've put in there is worth the notch.
Fair.
I think it's worth the notch. Yeah.
Yeah, I would seriously love an upgraded camera.
Yeah, well, from all rumors, Karen, you might, if you have your eyes on something more like an Air, you might be getting that. Mac laptops might be getting notches up and down the line in the near future.
Yeah, I do think it's worth. I think it's worth the trade-off of the notch to get a better camera.
Definitely. I was surprised too, because yes, it's heavier than last year's. It'll be heavier than last year's 13-inch, but I'm coming from a 15-inch, and so it's like noticeably lighter. It's about as thick as my old 2013 15-inch, but it's smaller enough to make a difference, but it's not too. I think a 13-inch would feel a little too small, and so this strikes a nice balance.
So what made you decide to go down to 14 instead of up to 16 from a 15-inch?
A lot of it was portability, honestly.
That makes sense.
And especially because there's no sort of top of the line piece of equipment that you can put in the 16-inch version that you cannot also put in the 14-inch version. They are outside of actually the bottom tier models. These are the same. The 14-inch actually has an additional configuration that is less powerful. That's the $2,000 base model of the 14 inches. I think it's an 8-core CPU. Much like the lower end MacBook Air, they use a lot of GPU or CPU binning or chip binning overall.
So what would you say is the most sort of labor intensive workflow that you do on the MacBook Pro, and how does it compare to your previous one?
It's definitely in the realm of photo editing. And I mean, part of this is because of just my photo editing setup on the Mac Mini, but it's also just, it speaks to the overall speed of the new Mac is loading photos from an external device onto the Mac is really quick. Exporting. So generally how I do things is I make some edits and adjustments in Lightroom because I find that stuff easier. And then I do my last edits in an external editing app, usually Pixelmator Pro. Moving from Lightroom to Pixelmator Pro is so fast. It's so quick. And then once you're in Pixelmator Pro, especially tools like Repair in Pixelmator, every so often I'll get like an errant hair on the keyboard or something like that, of the shot I've taken. So I want to get that out of there. That's just quick. Quick is how to describe this machine. Fast. I don't worry about battery life at all. I spent multiple days using this thing, taking it off of battery power about 9 a.m. and, putting it back on battery power about 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I could usually wear it down to about 35% in that time, but that's plenty of time to get it back on battery or get it back on charger power. And it really is the charging speed. They talked a lot about fast charging with MagSafe on this stuff. It's quick. It's just everything's fast. Everything about this machine is fast. The charging fast. The I/O is fast. I love it. I love it so much. I'm so happy. Yeah. All right. Before we continue, Karen, why don't you tell us about today's sponsor?
Yes. So a relative of mine has Capital One, and they made a purchase online, which turned out to be fraudulent. And they really weren't sure what to do, and called Capital One, and Capital One took care of everything. And this relative could not stop raving about how great they were. So have you ever hit a technical snafu shopping online? Has filling out payment field ever given you a headache? Has a mobile banking app ever been down when you wanted to use it? Capital One believes everyone deserves better banking. This means easier access to their money and more security. That's why Capital One is investing in machine learning. Machine learning allows Capital One to do things like fight fraud with random forests. Models quickly detect suspicious activity and make it faster to alert federal investigators. Identify how mobile app outages happen with causal models. Keeping our mobile app up and running doesn't happen by accident. Anomaly detection and incident response help determine why app outages happen so engineers can quickly remedy them. Speed up online shopping with machine learning at the edge. Make shopping with virtual card numbers smoother and more secure. This technology is based on logistic regression models and running inference in the browser. It identifies payment fields, which helps make using virtual card numbers easier and faster. The potential of machine learning is so big. See how Capital One is using machine learning to create the future of banking. Machine learning at Capital One. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Thank you, Karen. Of course, one of the aspects I haven't really touched on with the MacBook Pro is that it's really my first exposure to macOS Monterey.
Right, yeah.
I didn't use the beta at all this year because my old MacBook Pro couldn't run it, and I didn't want to put it on what is my command center computer. I count on it for podcasts and meetings and all sorts of important work, and so I didn't want to put a beta OS on that, even in a partition. But yeah, and now of course macOS Monterey is out. You should read Brian Wolf's review of macOS Monterey. It's excellent, and he had a lot of stuff to say about it. Big sticking point for him is Safari. Safari's been a sticking point for, I think, a lot of people all year or all summer with macOS Monterey. But yeah, it's definitely some interesting quality of life updates, some fun design tweaks. But the big thing for me is shortcuts, as it is with pretty much everything. You have shortcuts on the Mac. There's shortcuts in the menu bar. I love it. Have either of you taken the plunge on Monterey just yet?
Yeah, I downloaded it within a day or two of when it was released. I can't say I've noticed any huge differences. I feel like the Safari changes had already happened in the later iterations of Big Sur. But the one thing I've been doing really differently is using Focus, which I had never done before. So I actually have that on now, so I can not get any interruptions while I'm podcasting. And I had read about how hard it was to set up and nobody was going to do it, but it took me like 30 seconds to set up. It wasn't that complicated. So I guess it depends on what you're doing with it, but just like a simple no notifications unless it's, somebody from my favorites list or somebody who calls repeatedly, which would indicate an emergency. It was pretty much already set up that way. So it was pretty easy.
Luke, have you played around with it yet?
I haven't. I plan on downloading it this weekend onto my M1 iMac here. I ran the early beta of macOS Monterey, like the first 2 or 3 on my older MacBook Air for a while, but then I kind of had some problems with it, which is just beta issues. It just happens. And I kind of just never really went back to it. I decided just to kind of hold off. I remember Safari, at least back then. I know it's changed since then, but I remember Safari being a bit of a pain point. But I've also sort of moved on from Safari recently. I mostly use, not to say the M word too loudly, but I mostly use Microsoft Edge now as kind of my main browser. So I don't think that's going to bother me that much, even depending on what the changes, kind of what stuck around or what didn't from the early betas, from my recollection. But yeah, I just like, I always do my major updatings on the weekend just in case, God forbid, something weird happens and I need to do some troubleshooting or whatever, which like is pretty rare. But then I have like a couple days to sort it out before, it starts affecting my work. So I always do like major changes on weekends. So I'll get it this weekend, and then I'm kind of excited to fool around with it. Same with like, I'll agree. Like I was one who, when Focus was first announced, kind of across the devices in the new software, in iOS 15 and watchOS 8 and all that, I was one who was thinking like, I don't know how useful this is actually going to be. To be honest, I was kind of like, I use Do Not Disturb and that's enough for me. Like, do I really need it to be this customizable? But then I've just found ways to use it that have been really, really awesome. And being able to like just schedule it all out and have different focuses with different, things in mind and different tasks that I'm doing has just been really, really really, really awesome. But since I'm not on Monterey, I can't actually do that on my Mac yet. So that's probably the feature that I'm most excited to actually use, because I can use all my focuses that I've already set up on iOS 15 to, go across everything. So it'll be just, a tap and it's done, and everything's on the same settings that I want it to be, which is great. So
which is what I love about Apple products, that once you're in that walled garden, everything just works so beautifully together.
When Apple really gets the syncing down,
yeah,
it does feel pretty magical. And so turning on a focus, like turning on my work focus, and then seeing it, pop up on the MacBook, on my watch, on my phone, on my various iPads. It's like, yes, this is working how I want it. One thing I do want to note, actually, so macOS Monterey came out this week, but it launched as macOS version 12.0.1. If you have a new MacBook Pro, though, it shipped with macOS 12.0. So if you haven't done it already, there should be a little update waiting for you, because macOS 12.0 actually comes with the let's say beta style Safari, even both in compact and in sort of expanded tab mode, where the tabs always look like I guess lozenges is what people have been calling them. That little shape. So yeah, that's just a PSA for all of you out there who are either awaiting a MacBook Pro or just got theirs. You will have an update ready for you. And also, if you're really wild and chaotic, there's a new macOS 12.1 beta out there for you that adds SharePlay. That's something that didn't launch with macOS Monterey. SharePlay and Universal Controls, I think, are the big ones that are missing still. Apple's still saying Universal Control is later this year. There's not a lot of this year left, though. So.
That's true.
Maybe sometime with macOS 12.1, we'll actually see it making it. There are toggles for it in macOS 12.0.1. Not even the new beta. It's in the release version, but you can't actually check any boxes. You can just stare at them longingly. I want to turn it on, but I can't. So yeah, that's it's fun. So yeah, new betas this week. So actual software releases on Monday, and then I think it was Wednesday we had iOS 15.2 beta 1. WatchOS 8.3, not 8.2, 8.3.
8.3.
And then it was yesterday, it was macOS 12.1. So the cycle continues. Nothing ever really ends. I am Apple Dr. Manhattan. Nothing ever really ends. I'm going to turn blue and put an atomic symbol right in the middle of my forehead. That's what's going to happen. iOS 15.1 was out this week. Big news for that, obviously, is SharePlay officially launched.
Yeah.
I haven't used it too much, but early buzz works. It's good. This is going to change family tech support forever, I do think.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And not a moment too soon. What was the other big one? Right. For folks, I think right now it's the US. You can add a digital vaccination card for the COVID vaccine to Wallet if you have access to that information through a provider that uses, I think they're called smart cards. They should show up in the health app if you have a compatible data set, and then you can just add that to Wallet. It'll have a little QR code that you can get scanned instead of having to take the physical card out wherever you go. Yeah, nice little update.
Yeah.
All right. So, new devices, new software. It's kind of a busy week. There's been rumors that we'll see new Beats headphones next week too. I think the Beats Fit Pro is what they're called, and they're kind of like AirPods Pro competitors. We talked about them, I think, a couple of weeks ago on the show.
Yeah.
But after that, it seems like we are entering the calm the calm last bit of the year here.
Calm as far as releases.
I was gonna say calm as far as Apple releases, but
not calm for us. We're writing about Black Friday, but
yeah, hey, you want good Black Friday deals? We got some good Black Friday deals. Don't tell nobody.
Only for
actually
you.
Tell everybody and send them to iMore. But yeah, I do think we have now reached the end of the events. Tim Cook indicated that at the end of last week's event. So we are currently, now the year's over. Bring on 2022. That's where I am. Bring on 2022 and new bigger iMacs and new designs for the MacBook Air, and I think AirPods Pro 2. That's probably the release I'm looking forward to most in the early part of next year is AirPods Pro 2. I want to see what they'll do.
Yeah, and don't forget the colorful HomePod minis have not technically come out yet. The rumor is November
Wednesday.
1st.
Or not Wednesday. I didn't know. So you say November 1st for those?
Yeah.
So happy Monday, everybody.
So if you're waiting for orange, yellow, or blue, hopefully you can get them on Monday.
Absolutely. And also we've got a couple rumors that I want to talk about as we wind down this second half of the show. First, let's talk a little bit about before we get into rumors, I do want to talk about, I said we'd talk about it, the most important drama of the week, the polishing cloth. Let's talk about this. So Apple last week, after MacBook Pro orders went up, Apple ran low on stock of its $20 polishing cloth.
Yep. I had to say, I'm very curious to try it. What I want to know is, first of all, can I stand the feel of it? Because like a regular microfiber cloth, like the feel of it just squicks me out. I don't know how to explain it. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me. I hate it. My microfiber of choice is Toddy because it has a silky side and a microfiber side, so I can actually get away without touching the microfiber part. But even its microfiber isn't that bad. It's not like the kind that makes me feel gross. I don't know how to explain that, but I'm very curious to compare it to Apple's to see if it's as good as Toddy cloth or not as good.
So what is drawing people to this polishing cloth? Is it the screen on the new MacBook Pro? Is that why they're getting this? So they could
keep their
keep it nice and shiny.
Keep it.
Which
yeah,
I've already not done.
I think it's just the fact that Apple finally released one.
Oh my God!
Apple never had a polishing cloth before.
Is that right?
It's no. And it's a $20 item with an Apple logo on it. What's cheaper?
You kind of gotta jump on that while you can. I mean, I think technically the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack to Lightning dongle is $10. I think that's cheaper, but only that.
But does it have an Apple logo on it?
It doesn't.
See, that's what I'm saying.
You could probably,
this is something you could keep in your bag and whip out. Like I would imagine it's also nice for cleaning your glasses, your sunglasses, your iPhone, your watch, everything. So it's just something you can whip out with that Apple logo on it.
Everything you clean with it becomes just that much more technologically advanced.
Yeah, right.
You get Apple Glass early by wiping it down with a polishing cloth.
Yeah.
Like Christine said in the comments, some of us will just buy anything with an Apple logo on it. It's true. I've been known to do that on occasion.
As has Christine. And hers is backordered until December.
Yeah.
Oh, Christine, I got to tell you, that serves you right.
To be fair, though, like Apple, at least this is my opinion. I could be completely wrong, but my opinion is that like Apple is being a bit cheeky with this. Like it's a stupid little PR story. Does it really matter in the end of the day? Yeah, people are gonna like kind of rag on them for it, but like no one's really being that serious.
No
about
pun
it.
intended.
Yeah. But like, look at all the publicity that's come out, right? Of just this since this happened. I mean, that iFixit tear down of the polishing cloth was one of the most hilarious things I've read in tech in a long time. So like, I like that it's kind of become like it's become a bit of a meme, and it's like people are having fun with it. So I feel like we all could use a little smile every now and then. So
yeah,
good on Apple for trying to make money while producing us some quality content that
some
we can
quality memes.
Some quality
memes.
I
mean, we in the media are definitely having fun with this polishing cloth, and iFixit certainly is being cheeky, and that's fine. I think it is definitely meme worthy, but I will say that all microfiber cloths are not the same. Like I said, some of them do feel really gross, and some of them just don't work. And those little tiny cheap ones that come in the package when you buy, like for example, a screen protector, and you need to wipe off your screen. Like I use those to wipe off the alcohol or whatever on my screen before I put the screen protector on. But then I throw them away. They're not worth anything. I just, they're not good. They're not microfiber. First of all, they're just like, I don't know, silk, kind of a satiny sort of fabric. And you need something with microfiber that sort of grabs the dirt so that you can use it without having to use a solvent of some kind. Yeah. So I haven't even seen the Apple polishing cloth. I have no idea what the quality is, but it could potentially be something really worth $20. Like if you can use it to clean your computer screen without having to spray it with alcohol or some kind of cleaning substance, then maybe it is worth the $20.
And Karen, how much was that your preferred cloth?
The toddy? It's not cheap. It's I don't remember offhand because I bought it many years ago. But I mean, it was somewhere between $10 and $20 for the 2-pack.
Well, there you go. I mean, what quality costs, I guess, is what we're learning here today. iFixit doing a teardown of the polishing cloth is really just, I mean, the height of comedy from our industry, really.
Yeah.
And that's a good, I think that's a good holiday read if you're busy for the rest of the year, as we get into the very cold months for most of us in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah. So I just Googled the toddy cloth. It's $10 for one.
Okay.
$10 for one, not bad. Half the price.
Half the price.
Karen swears by it. It's got the Karen Freeman seal of approval, which we really need to think about making an official thing. All right. So yeah, we just got a couple rumors this week. One I do want to talk about though is the iPhone SE and how like there's some strange stuff coming out this week about the iPhone SE that we all expected for next year. First things first, we might not actually be getting a proper iPhone SE next year. We might be getting an iPhone SE Plus instead. And I think this is analyst Ross Young says he believes that the iPhone SE Plus is coming next year. Actually, no, I'm getting this a little wrong. Does think we'll have a this is strange. So iPhone SE in 2022, but it'll be the iPhone SE Plus, but still have a 4.7 inch display, but have 5G connectivity. And I'm just scratching my head over here. What we're going to call it Plus, but we're not going to embiggen the display. It's not going to be like the iPhone 8 Plus with a 5.5 inch display. It's still going to be. So is Plus the 5G?
Yeah, I have a hard time believing that Apple would add Plus.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't.
I mean, Apple naming conventions have always maybe been a little silly at some point, but like they've kind of leveled out over the past number of years, where we kind of understand where everything kind of lies. Then they added in Max and kind of got rid of Plus, and so. But I would understand if they called it the iPhone SE Plus if it was actually indeed bigger and was more of like the form factor of like the the iPhone 8 Plus back in the day and things like that. That would make sense, but it's odd to think that the only thing really changing in it would be 5G. Like, why not call it the iPhone SE 5G at that point? Like,
sorry, go ahead, Karen.
I was just going to say that Apple has phased out using Plus to mean larger. because it has been since the 8, right? Is that the last thing that Apple made with a plus in it to be bigger?
Yes, because the iPhone 10s and 10s Max, right? 10s Max.
Yeah. So maybe Apple is going to start reusing the word plus with a different meaning now to mean new features as opposed to a larger size.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe.
And if Apple does a larger iPhone SE at some point, they would call it the SE Max.
What's really interesting to me though is, you've got if 5G is supposed to be the only new feature, they have named an iPhone after the cellular radio before. That was the second iPhone. It was the iPhone 3G.
Yeah.
Right.
They could just call it the iPhone SE 5G.
Oh,
that's a terrible name. That's a terrible name. And Apple would totally go for it.
I definitely understand that they wouldn't just call it the iPhone SE if it's not like a new version of it, right? Like I totally understand why it needs some sort of other modifier. It's just like, I guess what Karen, what you said is right. They have moved on from Plus and now use Max to describe, bigger or their bigger phones and stuff. So maybe I guess they could repurpose Plus, but it's a little weird. It's a little weird. At the end of the day, they're going to put something on it. They're not just going to call it the iPhone SE again, because it's not quite really a new device from, at least that's what this rumor is anticipating. And the time we see sort of a proper third generation iPhone SE will be, in a couple of years. So
2024.
2024, is the rumor. So a few years.
I don't really care what the name is. I just really, really hope that they keep some version of the iPhone SE, the sort of slower changing model, because there just is a big population of people like my mom who really want to use the same phone forever. And if she can, when her phone dies, if she can just get a new one that is so similar to her old one that she won't notice a difference, that's what she's going to want. And she's not alone there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I think that's it for this week. It's
well, if we have some time, we've always talked about how we want to review TV shows, but
let's talk about TV. Let's talk about TV a little bit.
Apple TV shows.
Yeah, we have a little time left in this hour, so let's jump into a bit of a TV review. Because we are coming up on that second anniversary. It is just a few days away. Does everyone here watch Ted Lasso? No spoilers.
I have not. I'm
none of it, or you're not caught up?
No, I haven't watched any of it yet. It's on my list. You should see my list of things I need to watch. It's very long.
Okay.
I have a spreadsheet and I'm tackling things, and I have to organize things into things I can watch with my partner, things she's not interested in, so I have to watch on my own time, things I've promised I've watched with friends. So it's all this big
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Where you got to save certain shows for certain people, that kind of throws you behind. And I
So I'll say this about Ted Lasso: no spoilers, but the greatest trick that this show pulled was going from a half hour comedy to an hour-long comedy.
Did it?
Well, essentially, like most of the episodes in season 2 were about 42 to 45 minutes, which is about the length they'd be if they were on network TV, if they were an hour long on network TV.
Yeah.
See, that's what I love about streaming, is that I'm just thinking from the point of view of a creative person who's making a TV show, which I'm not, but if I were, I would love this. And that is that there really is you could do any number of minutes you want your show to be. Like from one episode to the next, it'll be completely, like most of the shows I watch, I notice the number of minutes per show is just different depending on what story they want to tell that week. It'll be longer or shorter or whatever.
Yeah. If you've got enough content to fill the time, then good. That's how long your show should be.
Yeah.
Right. And if you don't have as much content that week, then make it a shorter show. Like why put in boring filler?
Yeah, totally. One of the more interesting TV shows that I've seen in the last few years was actually an Amazon Prime show called Homecoming, which is based off a podcast that I really loved. And that was the rare beast of a half-hour drama, and it did that perfectly, and that's in its first season. I haven't caught all the way up on the second season yet, but yeah, just fill the amount of time you need to fill and no more.
Yeah. We're watching Squid Game on Netflix, and most of the episodes are close to an hour, but the penultimate episode, the second to last episode, was like half an hour.
Yeah, so that's what it needs to be.
Yeah, they said what they told the story they needed to tell.
Yeah, penultimate episodes often do a lot of setting up for the finale anyway, so if you don't need more than that.
Yeah.
I assume Squid Game was similar. Squid Game is one I'm not on yet.
It's violent, but it's good. It's interesting. I think there will be lots of discussion to be had. Like once my whole family and I have finished the whole show, we'll have a lot to discuss.
Yeah. So let's see. This year we've had season 2 of Ted Lasso. We've had season 2 of For All Mankind, season 2 of Dickinson C, the morning show. We're also getting the third and final season of Dickinson, I think in a week or two.
Soon. Soon. I can't remember the exact date.
Yeah. And we talked about this earlier at the beginning of the show, but I do think that Apple TV Plus really has matured over this year. They've actually canceled some shows, a couple of them. They canceled what was it? The Joseph Gordon-Levitt one, Mr. Corman, I think.
Yeah, that got canceled really quickly. I didn't even see it.
Like right after the season finale aired, I think. And then I want to say,
did that show get to wrap up? I mean, did they?
I have no idea. I don't really know the basic plot. This is the problem. Is like no one
I think
knows
it's about a
about
teacher who's sort of burnt out.
Mm-hmm. A teacher burnout.
Yeah, like most of the teachers I know, but
I
actually did want to see that because I do like Joseph Gordon-Levitt a lot, but the fact that it was canceled so quickly kind of lowers it on my list, I guess.
Yeah, and then I think they also canceled one of their original shows, one of the launch lineup, Little Voice or Little Voices, which I think was a J.J. Abrams produced one, and with I want to say Sarah Bareilles. It was one of the original launch lineup, and I'm not sure that ever made a splash. But I think it's matured as a service, and I think the second seasons. I know there are people that are down on the second season of Ted Lasso. I am definitely not one of those people.
I feel like the second season was much streakier. The first season I thought was consistently good across the entire season, but the second season I thought there was a lot of up and down. Some of the stories I really enjoyed, and some of the stories just kind of made me sad. And one of the episodes was just a complete mystery, but I don't want to spoil. Is that
the beard episode?
Yeah, you know the one.
Yeah. I think Ted Lasso this year had the issue of Apple ordered more than they had planned for, and they had planned out a 10-episode arc, and then Apple said, "No, put 2 more episodes in there. We want more. We want 3 whole months."
One of the episodes that they added in was very nice. I enjoyed it. I didn't even notice that it was sort of out of. And the other one was just a kind of a mess, but
that's very strange. And we learned this week that Mythic Quest, which I really loved the second season of Mythic Quest. I think it really that one grew into its own. I like the second season a lot more than I like the first season, and I still kind of liked the first season. Mythic Quest has been renewed for seasons 3 and 4, which is interesting because if you haven't seen Mythic Quest, the only thing I'll say about it, about the end of the second season, is that it ends in such a way where, this could be the end of the entire show. I can see how they might not do more. And no, they're doing at least 2 more seasons. So for anyone who likes Mythic Quest, congratulations.
I watched about half of the first season. It feels like a blend between Silicon Valley and Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
sort of tone.
Yeah, and it's one of those shows that does. I think this has become kind of a thing in sort of maybe especially streaming television, but they do these kind of like off format episodes. They're like I think it's season 1, episode 6 of Mythic Quest. It's like the whole thing's a flashback, basically the history of the building that the Mythic Quest office is now in, and it's really great, and it's got a lot of good character work.
I'd agree with that.
and it's about like personal ambition and how that can strain a relationship and that kind of thing. And I think a lot of comedies especially are doing episodes like this, the kind of almost like Emmy episode, if you will. Like, this is one we're submitting. And which is good for us because these episodes are generally really good, but it has become a bit of a weird trend. They did another one this year that was also a flashback episode. But it was about one of the characters that we knew. So
yeah.
And
I think morning show, I think the second season's been pretty good, but I could have used a really good, solid, like 5-minute, 10-minute recap of the first season because it had been like 2 years in between seasons and I forgot so much from the first season. Like I remembered the basic outline of the show, but there were whole characters I had forgotten about and whole storylines. And I was like, I ended up going online and finding an article to read that sort of recapped the first season better. But I was very confused.
I haven't been
season.
That's one that the morning show is the one Apple TV product I'm actually like caught up on. I'm like, I watch every Friday on my lunch break. And I haven't been liking the second season quite as much as the first season. It's still good. But it's like, it's just got some weird pacing in my opinion. And some like, I don't like all the cheeky references to like now that it's later in the season, they're getting less cheeky, but at the very beginning of the season, they were very cheeky about cause it's the show's set before COVID hit the world kind of thing.
Right.
And so there's, and so there's all these weird cheeky references to being like, everything's going to be fine this summer, right guys? And all this like weird stuff that I don't feel like needed to be in there. Like I'm cool with you dealing with COVID. I'm cool with TV shows doing that and finding interesting stories within that premise. But like, don't be so like weird and cheeky about it. It's gotten better as the season's gone on because like, it's becoming more of a thing. But at the beginning, it was all like these like stupid one-liners that like didn't really need to be in there. That was just like, oh, you guys know what happened in 2020. Remember that shitty year?
I know.
It's like we know, guys. It got really bad.
Yeah.
It feels like too soon. Like it's like too soon to make jokes about it.
Yeah, we're still really like dealing with the trauma of the pandemic and still kind of in it. So it's like I'm cool with the show like presenting it and finding stories within that, but it's like don't be so like cheeky about it. It's weird. So that's kind of turned me off, but it's getting better. It's gotten better as the season has gone on for sure. So
yeah, it wasn't the right thing to make light of because it's not a light show.
Yeah.
So why choose that to be kind of cheeky, like you said about it? I agree with you, Luke.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
All right, we've come down to the end of our hour. We had some nice discussion about Apple TV shows. Karen, I know you've been wanting to do that for a while. We should do a proper whole episode Apple TV Plus rundown one day. Maybe closer to the holidays when the news is scarce and the every day is freezing.
Yes.
Right. No one's going outside.
And I'm dying to talk about For All Mankind because it's like one of the least watched shows on Apple TV, I think. And I just think it's maybe the best one.
Which is weird because when it's on, it does well in the streaming data that comes out. It does fairly well week to week.
Yeah. I don't hear much about it. I don't hear much about it in the popular media. I mean, you hear Ted Lasso's everywhere, but
we will definitely do a For All Mankind spoiler cast. So
there we go.
Be prepared. We will talk all about the spoilers and a lot about duct tape. There's a spoiler. All right. All right, everybody. Big thanks to everyone who showed up and commented along with us and watched live. It's great to see you there every week. Also great to see Christine there. Big thanks to everyone who's going to listen later or watch later on YouTube. Thanks to you, we're not all howling into a void. Big thanks, Jim Metzendorf, for editing, for making us sound so lovely every week. Thanks, Luke, for being our guest this week on the show.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, and until next week, this has been the iMore Show. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.